It ain't necessarily so. Baruch atah Adonai.
Okay, just need to get one.
I'll carry the Torah for the Hakafah.
So Marnie's doing the Aliyah, I think. Isn't that what I said? Marnie, what's your Hebrew name?
Hadassah. Hadassah,
Like the hospital?
Hadassah Galit.
Galit, Hadassah Galit. That'll be your Hebrew name tonight. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Temple Bethel's live streaming service. I'm Cantor Margaret Bruner. And this is Temple Bethel Salinas. And we greet the Sabbath Queen with Ma Yafeh Hayom as we bring in Kabbalat Shabbat. Page 10. How lovely is this day of Shabbat. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. One more time. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And how would the Friedman Northrop family like to light the Shabbat candles for us? Page 2 and 3, there's a microphone over there, which is great because people online can hear you. Candle lighting is on page 2 and 3, and maybe when you're done with that, we'll have Eloise do a reading on page 6. You can always count on being put to work when you come to temple. Yay. Yay.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam.
Asher Kiddushanu
b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Now, what's the reading?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. And Eloise will read for us on page 6.
Which one?
You can pick whichever one you like.
I'll just do the first one. We enter the sanctuary. To welcome Shabbat within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built this synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a version of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come to the sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, and flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the wheat, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer.
Amen. Thank you, Eloise. You may be seated if you wish. And we continue with greeting Shabbat, Lachuna Ranana, page 12. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena al Adonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena al Adonai. Naria, naria, litzuri, sheinu nekad mafana betoda. Naria, naria, litzuri, sheinu, bizbirot naria lo. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena al Adonai. 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 And right across the page, 13, Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, sing a new song unto God. Shiru Ladonai, Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai, Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai, Barechu Shemo, Bazru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Shiru Ladonai, Barechu Shemo, Bazrumi Yom Leyom Yeshuato. We continue Lachadodi, page 20 and 21, as we greet the Sabbath bride. Lachadodi, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. Please join me and Rick Iramatagi at the piano in singing. Lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el cham yuchad, Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, Le'shemo tiferet ve'litila. Lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu benelcha, ki mekor habracha, meirosh mikedem nesucha, sof maaseh b'machshavat tchila. Lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumi ori, uri, shir dabeiri, kavod Adonai alaich nigla. Lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 9, and we rise and we face the back of the sanctuary. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'betzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala. Lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Please be seated. Shalom Aleichem, page 24. Please join us in singing. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Tzedechem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Melech malachei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Please join me on page 27. If everybody would join me in this beautiful prayer on the bottom of page 27. Teach me, O God. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'almadi v'rachirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, bagala bagala uvizman karib ve'immeru Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'l'olamei amaya yitbarach yitbarach ve'yishtabach v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal v'yitalal shemei d'Gudisha Leila min kobir chata beshirata, dush bechata benechemata, damiran be'alma ve'immeru. And our call to prayer, Baruch Hu, page 28. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Please be seated, and Nancy Makita will continue for us on page 30.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishaneh itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hakochavim, b'mishwarotehem barakia kirtzono, b'reyom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshek, v'choshek mipnei or, Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila. Adonai tziva'ot shmo, El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aruvim.
Please join me responsibly on page 33, Wisdom and Wonder. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Please join me, Shema, page 34, 35. It's our custom at Temple Bethel to rise. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Please be seated and join me in Via Hafta, page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha b'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru ba'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Amen. Please join me responsibly on page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, O God, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. And we join together in our song of freedom, Michamocha, page 40. Michamocha Norat ilot osed vele, Norat ilot osed vele, Machutecha ra'u vanecha, Bokei hayam lifnei Moshe, Zeli, Zeli, Anu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch leolam ba'ed, Adonai yimloch leolam ba'ed, Adonai yimloch leolam ba'ed. B'ne'emar ki vada Adonai et Yaakov, ugealo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai, God Yisrael. And now our beautiful bedtime Hashkivenu prayer. Grant that we lie down in peace, O God. Please join me in singing. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu le'shalom, Ve'hamidenu shomreinu, shomreinu le'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu le'shalom, Ve'hamidenu shomreinu, shomreinu le'chaim. Ufros aleinu, sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu, sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu le'shalom, Ve'hamidenu shomreinu, shomreinu le'chaim. V'shamru, we guard Shabbat on page 44. Please join me in singing. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת We rise together to Tefillah, page 46. Adonai sepatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mei Gula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamo Chava'al Givurot, Umido Melach, Melech Meimid, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atal hachayot v'akol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei ha'akol, Atah kadosh v'shemcha kadosh, U'kadoshim bechol yom yehalelucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el ha'kadosh. We pray silently through page 62. O say shalom, our prayer of peace. Please join me in singing. O say shalom, shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Yisrael ve'imru we turn to our Torah service, and Aaron, I'm going to ask you if you would be so kind as to take the Torah from the Ark, page 244, and we rise. Ein kamocha Elohim Adonai, v'ein kema'asecha. Malachutecha malachut kol amim, umemshaktecha b'chol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yevarich et amo v'shalom. Adonai yevarich et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim heitiv avirtzoncha et Zion. Tivni chomot Yerushalayim. Tivni chomot Yerushalayim. Kivecha levad batachnu, Melech Elrom v'nisa Adon olamim. Page 246. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kdushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadol Adonai Lecha Adonai Avirola, Ve'agimora, Ve'ativer, Ve'anetzach, Ve'ahod. Ki chol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. This evening's Torah portion is found on page down.
I got it.
450 and page 451 in the Plout. Nancy is reading from Exodus chapter 10, verses 21 through 29. Did you find it?
Yeah.
Okay. And here we are in our famous Torah portion. Pharaoh has hardened his heart as we hear about the plagues in Parshat Bo. And for the honor of the Aliyah this evening, I call up Dr. Marnie Friedman. Ta'amod Hadassah Galit Levarachat HaTorah.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Havarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol hamim. V'natan lanu et Torato.
Wait, that's not it.
Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
I'm sorry, I thought I had the spot, but all these paragraphs start the same.
Yes,
Va'yomer Adonai. Moshe.
I think this is it in the top. Is that it?
I thought the other one was.
Yeah, I think that's it.
No,
No, it's close though.
no, this is Eretz, since this is supposed to be Shemayim.
That was close.
This is it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe nateh yadcha al hashamayim, vayihi choshek al Eretz Mitzrayim, vayomesh choshek, vayet Moshe et yado al hashamayim, vayihi choshek afela v'chol Eretz Mitzrayim, shloshet yamim lo ra'u ish et achiv, v'lo kamu ish mitachtav. Shloshet Yamim. Ulachol b'nei Yisrael haya, or b'moshvotam. Vayikram Pharaoh el Moshe. Vayomer lachu ivtu et Adonai. Rak tzonechem uvkarchem yutzag gam tapchem. Yelek imachem. Vayomer Moshe gam ata titain b'yadenu Zivachim va'olot va'asimnu Adonai Eloheinu v'gam meknenu v'lek imanu lo tisher parsa ki mimenu nikach la'avod et Adonai Eloheinu va'anaknu lo neda ma na'avod et Adonai ad va'enu shama. V'yachazek Adonai et lev paro v'lo ava lishacham. V'yomer lo paro lech me alai hishamer lecha al tosef ra'ot panai ki bayom ra'ot cha panai tamut. V'yomer Moshe Kein dabarta lo osif od ra'ot panecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
The Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand towards the heavens, and there will be darkness upon the land of Egypt, a tangible darkness." So Moses stretched out his hand towards the heavens, and there was a thick darkness in all of the land of Egypt For 3 days, no one could see his brother or his fellow, and no one rose from his place for 3 days. And for all of the Israelites, there was light in their dwellings. Pharaoh summoned Moses and said, "Go and worship your God, only your flocks and your cattle shall remain behind. Your children, even your children, may go with you." Moses said, "Also you will place in our hands festival offerings and burnt offerings, and we will offer them to the Lord our God, and even our cattle will go with us. For not one hoof shall remain behind. For from us, we must select to serve the Lord our God, and we will not know with what we shall serve the God until we arrive there." God strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, and he didn't want to let them go, to send them out. And Pharaoh said to him, "Go from me, beware, take care, don't that you don't see my face again. For on the day when you see my face, you shall die." Moses said, "You speak truly, I will not again see your face."
Beautiful job. Thank you. Thank you, Marty. Beautiful job.
One more plague to go.
In a minute, if you can. Yeah, that'd be great. Come and hang out. We like company. We pause in front of the open Torah for prayers of healing, which can be found on page 253. Mishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yivarech et HaCholim. In our congregation, Leah Winter, Rebecca Roddick, and any other names you'd like to share this evening? Retta Higgins.
Carl Wolf, Carolyn Joyce Gordon, Sylvia Seaman, Judy Polonsky and family, our Siegel family in Brooklyn, Minnesota.
Your entire office? Yes. Please join in our prayer of healing, page 253. Misheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives Makor habracha le'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We return our Torah to the ark. We prepare to rise, and Marnie Friedman will help dress our Torah and return it to the ark, and our Gabbai, Jeff Siegel, will lift our Torah. Hallelujah, Shem Adonai, ki nisgav shemo levado, v'zot haTorah, asher sam Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael. We return the Torah to the ark, Hodo al Eretz, page 256. Hodo. Shamayim vayarem keren le'amo tehila lechol chasidav li'bnei Yisrael am kerovo. Torati al ta'azovu. It's chayim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomchecha be'usha terachea darchenu bechol netivoteha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadish, Chadish Yameinu, Chadish Yameinu kekedem. Please be seated as our ark is closed. It's always a pleasure to hear the words of Parshat Bo read by Nancy Makita. She is currently the president of our synagogue. She's a past president of Sisterhood, is that correct? Because I'm going to be talking about sisterhood this evening, so it was very appropriate to have you read and translate so beautifully the Torah portion and have Marnie Friedman for the Aliyah. The Women of Reform Judaism, their website, contains also commentary on the Torah portions. So you don't have to go to the Union of Reform Judaism. You can go to the Women of Reform Judaism to find commentaries on the Torah. So I thought I would share the words of Marilyn Morrison. She is currently serving as the president of the Women of Reform Judaism Mid-Atlantic region. And she says in our Torah portion this evening, Parshat Bo, we encounter the final plagues God brings upon Pharaoh. Each successive plague becomes more severe and debilitating. And as the plagues become worse, Pharaoh becomes more stubborn. With blood, frogs, lice, insects, and slaying of the beasts, the text says that Pharaoh's heart stiffens. His stubborn arrogance entrenches his position. God sends the 8th and 9th plagues, locust and darkness, but Pharaoh still refuses to free the Israelite slaves. God tells Moses that the 10th plague will be the killing of all the firstborn Egyptians. God commands each Israelite home to slaughter a lamb and spread the blood on their doorposts to protect their firstborns. After the death of the firstborns, Pharaoh demands that the Israelites leave. Pharaoh had many opportunities to respond to the plagues and to change his ways. As he hardened his own heart, Pharaoh set into motion a process that became a part of God's world. Pharaoh's inability to release the Israelites, and for that matter, the Egyptians, from the scourge of slavery, illustrated the depth of his addiction. At some point, the totality of our choices, especially those that can be destructive, becomes self-perpetuating, written in stone, and that is much more difficult to reverse. Considering this portion, one cannot help but find the similarities between our current political and cultural situation. We too have plagues in our society that reflect both the consequences of our actions and inactions. How we react when these plagues impact those we love and those with whom we do not have as close as relationships help us all to find our way out of the darkness, out of these weird times in which we all find ourselves. The Women of Reform Judaism has reacted to our society's current plagues in countless positive ways. WRJ has moved to a virtual format, which basically, I would say a great majority of Reform congregations have done. There was going to be a midwinter retreat for the cantors that's held in Palm Springs every winter, and at the last minute, that was moved to a virtual platform. And as we know, things constantly shift and change, and we are lucky here in our congregation to be able to live stream our services. Other things that the Women of Reform Judaism have been doing this past year, from a social action and justice standpoint, in 2020, the WRJ presented an informed position on Amy Coney Barrett's appointment as a Supreme Court Justice and stood with our Reform Movement partners in declaring Black Lives Matter as a Jewish value. The Yes Fund assisted many in need, including the Leo Beck Education Center in Haifa, by providing help with distance learning technology during the pandemic. It is hard to face up to our plagues. It is hard to look in the mirror and say, I am responsible. It can be easy to let our hearts harden with despair or apathy, or meanness of spirit. But if we allow this to happen unchecked, then we become like Pharaoh. Our tradition offers encouraging teaching, even as God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Not all needed to be lost. In every circumstance, we can assert our free will, overcome, and choose well. There is so much to be optimistic about. In 2021 and continuing, the Women of Reform Judaism is ensuring that the Reformed Jewish women make a difference in the world. And as their motto says, we are stronger together, our hearts will never be hardened, just like at the time of the Exodus. We are here together, finding our way to freedom. And how this ties in with our congregation is our sisterhood, which has been longtime members of the WRJ. In fact, I did a little research, and the first Temple Sisterhood was formed in 1952. They became members of the Women of Reform Judaism, 70 years. So they're having their Jubilee anniversary, 70 years. And Nancy Makita and myself and some other board members of the sisterhood, the Temple Bethel Sisterhood, are doing an accounting, not really a cheshbon hanefesh, but just looking ahead to see what our Temple Bethel Sisterhood will look like in the future years to come. And we are examining different possibilities. And I want to start off by saying that sisterhood is not just for Jewish women. You don't have to be Jewish, and you don't have to be a woman, and you can join individually. And so we are considering individual memberships rather than a unified Temple Bethel Sisterhood membership. And there's many possibilities ahead, and stay tuned. And if you'd like to give us any feedback, we would love to hear from you. And now I will turn it over to Nancy Makita to share some announcements. Do you need this? Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. As you noticed, I chose not to read the final plague, which is real downer. So I read about the darkness. But in the final plague, or at the end of the final plague, as Canterbruner mentioned, Pharaoh actually says, leave, get out, go on. I've had it with you. So last week, my little devoir here had to do with the frogs, as some of you will remember. And if you missed it, I can repeat it at the Oneg, because it really was a good one. This week has something to do with what I just said about Pharaoh's orders to get out. So, Beryl goes running to Freddie, the local philanthropist, bangs on the door, and with tears in his eyes, tells him what has happened to a poor family in the neighborhood. Freddie, you gotta help out. The father is dead, the mother is too ill to work, and 9 starving children are about to be thrown out into the cold, empty streets unless someone pays their back rent, which comes to $937. Oh, this took place a long time ago. Oy, that's terrible. But tell me, Beryl, how do you fit in? I'm the landlord. The frog one was even better. Oh, well. So, that takes care of the Torah portion, more or less. The Israelites are now on their way out. And then comes Passover, but, well, in the book anyway. So coming up, there will be the introduction to or whatever, basic Judaism class on Monday. If you need to know more, ask the cantor. I haven't sampled it myself. Then comes the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration, which is Monday the 17th, that'll be a week from this Monday, which begins at the First United Methodist Church in downtown Salinas, or near downtown. There will be refreshments after you walk to City Hall. In entertainment, it says here, okay. So you might consider that. Next week, we will have our usual Friday night service, except without a Torah reading, which will be on Saturday at Ivy Park again, which is better attended than Friday night, which is great.
Everyone's invited.
I'm sorry?
Everyone's invited.
Oh, yes, of course, everybody's invited.
Which week is that? Next week? Next week.
That's next week, the 15th.
Start at 10 a.m.
On the ONIC schedule, we had two volunteers helping out. The Jacobsons brought some cookies, and sometimes I go quite blank. I know perfectly well that's Jeff. Okay, Jeff brought some pie, so we're in good shape. Besides, the pie has fruit in it, so that's good for you. I do need some volunteers for February, since we have eliminated the published schedule. The first Friday is taken care of. I need 3 volunteers for the other Fridays in February. January's fine. I think that is it. Because Dorothy's Place is this week, isn't it?
Pardon?
Dorothy's Place is this week.
Yep, and family time. Little children will be coming on Sunday.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Can you do the frog one again when you're done? Here, we'll
Would
do
you,
it at the
would
end.
you like me to repeat the frog
Do it
joke?
at the end. Why don't we do it now where there's a microphone, Jeff?
Okay.
Okay?
All right, it's right here. That's right, I now bring my whole book with me instead of just a copy. Okay, here's the elderly Egyptian sorcerer walking along the Nile when he sees a frog in the road. "If you pick me up and kiss me," says the frog, "I will turn into a beautiful young woman and grant your every desire." The Egyptian picks up the frog, puts it in his pocket, and continues walking. "Hey, hey," yells the frog, "you didn't kiss me." "Well, I thought it over, and at my age, I'd rather have a talking frog." We told that one at my exercise class also, without the Egyptian, but, you know, they didn't know it was from the Torah, but anyway. It was also a big success there. Rather have a talking frog. Stay tuned for next week, see what we come up with.
Oh, I know. You have a nice lining in yours. That's so smart.
I shouldn't sit down, right?
Right. Please rise, page 282, Aleinu. Aleinu l'shamech l'adon hakol, v'teiknu al Yosef Reshit, shelo asanu v'gayei haratzot, ve'lo asanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, ve'glor aleinu kechol be seated. Let us agree for now that we will not say the breaking makes us stronger, or that it is better to have this pain than to have done without this love. Let us promise we will not tell ourselves time will heal the wound when every day our waking opens it anew. Perhaps for now, it can be enough to simply marvel at the mystery of how a heart so broken can go on beating, as if it were made for precisely this, as if it knows the only cure for love is more of it, as if it sees the heart's sole remedy for breaking is to love still, as if it trusts that its own persistent pulse is the rhythm of a blessing we cannot begin to fathom, but will save us nonetheless. We mark the yahrzeits in our congregation of Harriet Yanes, Alice Broach, Minette Lubin, David Frank Gadsky, Muriel Beck, Seymour D. Lesser. We rise together for Kaddish and any other names that you wish to add.
For the period of Philip Ed Blonsky, Sarah Siegel.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayachon v'yomechon, uv'chayeh dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv ve'imru, Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei kudesha, la'ela min kol birchata, v'shirata, tushbechata, v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma, v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Hoseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. Please be seated, and we thank you so much for gracing our worship this evening. Rick Irmatagi with your beautiful playing, and thank you Jeff and Nancy and others who have contributed to this evening's oneg. And of course, we have to sing. Pretend I'm Paul Robeson or something, which I never will be. Let My People Go, page 361. But, you know, it's a good one. And when Israel was in Egypt land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land, tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Thus saith the Lord, but Moses said, let my people go. If not, I'll smite your firstborn dead. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. No more shall they in bondage toil. Let my people go. And soon I'm out with Egypt's spoil. let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Shabbat Shalom.
Thanks to our viewers online, we have a minute.
Oh, my goodness. They didn't give up on us because we started late.